We're back. I don't know if
Part
that's a good thing
two.
or a bad thing, but we're back for part two. This is a funny comment that came in. Someone said, live with Aaron and DeeCee or State of the Union address. Aaron and DeeCee for the win. Thanks so much, Val.
Oh my God.
It's kind of big shoes to fill, but we're happy
Wow.
to be here. Savannah is in the house. Let's go.
Savannah.
Let's go. How's everyone doing?
Yeah.
How are the live chats? Are we successfully live on both channels? Because it looks like we are
Yes.
from our end. Technical difficulties averted so far, and it's the best.
We love
Oh my
it.
gosh. Wow. If you were
Savannah,
here
I
for
can't.
last stream, drop a 1 in the chat. In our Invest MLM stance. If this is your first, I don't know, if the part 2 is your first one you've seen, drop a 2 in the chat as an homage to everybody in multi-level marketing. But sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, you're fine. I think even if you haven't watched part 1, you can still watch part 2. I was thinking about this earlier.
Yep.
And you can go back and watch part 1. That would be awesome. We would appreciate that, of course, but I feel like you can still kind of catch on with what's happening, and each of the videos can be their own kind of thing and still understand it. Also, I do want to mention I'm very excited for Savannah's next video.
Oh God, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. If you are interested, if you get to the end of this live stream and you're like, oh my gosh, I want the first part of it, we've linked the first video in both the chats. So if you're in my chat, hello, I've linked my video in my chat. And if you're in Aaron's stream, I've linked Aaron's first video in the chat. So if you want, maybe not right now, maybe hang out with us in the live chat because it's always a vibe. You can go over there. It's pretty easy to navigate. So
love that. Allison says, first live stream from West Coast of Canada. I love that.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Welcome.
That's so cool. Do we want to introduce ourselves maybe for the mobile viewers who are coming in? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. You want me to go first?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I like patterns, so I like that you go first.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I can do that. My name is Erin Bees. I'm a wife, a mom, a military veteran. I'm studying to become a certified personal trainer, and I spent 13 and a half years in multi-level marketing, healed my way out, and now I'm using all of my social media platforms to educate and raise awareness around the dangers of multi-level marketing companies and the tactics used by their reps.
Iconic. I mean, come on. Who says it with Erin when she says it? I was being on my best behavior and didn't mouth it like with her, but when she goes live and like you've heard it so many times, it's like a comforting, warm hug of like all the stuff.
So nice.
I don't know. I think other people feel like that too. I think because I think we've all chatted about that in your chat. Brandy Lee, just for you, there are 69 likes on the stream, maybe combined, but that is our gift to you. But yeah. I'm DeeCee. I'm an MLM dropout. I was in Mary Kay and Young Living. I finally left in 2022 thanks to some awesome people, Aaron being one of them, and I've been battling technical difficulties in multi-level marketing companies since then. And we're going to get into some trouble tonight. Civil and respectful trouble, but still some trouble. We're going to be debunking some stuff. We're going to be exposing MLM scammers. And if you're new here, if you're just swiping through, MLM is multi-level marketing. We're talking about the company Prove It. We're talking about, I don't know if it's a top rep because she was stacked there, but she is maybe an actor of a top rep, Courtney, and who said some really awful things on a podcast that she was on. She live streamed the podcast, somebody else's podcast. She said she was going to delete it, and we got it before she deleted it. So that kind of the snark notes, I guess, of catching all up.
Whoopsies.
Whoops. I hate when that happens, when they're just like, nobody's, and again, it's just hilarious to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to delete this, and then come to realize there's an auto downloader that's grabbing it. So
we love that.
I love it. Oh my
so
gosh,
grateful. Emran, yeah, congratulations, 6 months, and thank you so much for being a member for 6 months. It's awesome. Emran says, I'm so excited for part 2. Us too. Well, I don't know if excited is the right word because DeeCee and I know what is coming.
Yeah.
And you guys don't yet, but you will soon. And I'm going to try not to riot, but
Yeah.
can't guarantee anything.
So I think we may have some big emotions in this stream, live chat. I know we all had some big emotions last stream. When we're debunking lies that are told, I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see some very firm and strong, like, this is wrong, lying is wrong, and lying about such the things that you're going to hear tonight is especially wrong. And so we're going to we try to, I don't know. I don't know if you can say this in a better way, Aaron, but we're we ch- we try to talk about behaviors, which the lying part of this. We try to talk about unethical business practices, the problems with multi-level marketing, the problems with cults, the problem with scams, that they hurt others, and they so I don't we try to walk the line though and stay on the side of, we're not going to disparage people. We're not going to use who they are against them. We don't do ad hominem attacks. We talk about behaviors and we stand up for what we think are good things, like acknowledging and respecting other humans and
And honoring her grief in this
yes.
too. I think that the acknowledging that, and also you brought up a really great point about being, could she possibly be neurodivergent? And that's always a possibility, I feel like. So not that I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think that having compassion and also being able to see things and see the manipulation and point that out, and saying, hey, we are aware that she is grieving. Her grief is valid, 100%, of course. And also being able to point out the manipulation and the flat out lies.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that's happened behind the scenes that she has done that a lot of people don't know about. And so when you look at the big picture,
Yeah.
it's yucky. I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah. In our commentary about the behaviors that she's participating in isn't a like us attacking being neurodivergent. It's not us attacking someone who's grieving. There's a line of saying lying is wrong in my opinion, or treating people like a commodity to be used in a transactional way is wrong. Multi-level marketing and taking advantage of others is wrong. And so please acknowledge our attempt to have a nuanced conversation and also debunk the hell out of the lying that you're going to hear on the podcast. And
Yeah.
that's what Aaron is going to be bringing the hammer of truth. I'll just say that. So, I'm excited. And I
Yeah.
hope y'all are excited and or prepared. It is a little bit twisty, so if this is not a place that you feel like you can be for your mental health, we understand. We don't Aaron said this so many times on her channel. I've said it on mine too. Your mental health is more important than a stream. Or I know hanging out in live chat is fun, but don't slime yourself. If you feel like you have to tap out, always do that if you need to. So,
Yep.
yeah. Okay.
I'm
So,
ready if you are. Also, 7 months, Becca, thank you for being a member for 7 months. I
let's
appreciate you. And I know
go.
you're lurking, and that's cool. Shout out to all the lurkers that are listening and, doing life and checking in. And if you hear something and you want to comment, that's cool too. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. All right, let's go. We've got the correct scene. We've got the correct timestamp. We're moving and
You're
grooving.
on it.
I don't know how this is happening, but we are ready to go, I think. Let's just try this.
So good, so good. Thank you. Thank you. So becoming is a present experience. It doesn't live, in the future. Okay, so good. So yeah, I want to go back to, like, at the beginning, I talked a bit about how the world is a different place, right? And without Jessie Lee, every time I have that thought, which I have the thought often, she's somebody who constantly comes up. For me, every time I have the thought about how different the world is without her.
I I understand that you have kids that you already have a previous commitment to. I hope she's muted herself so that I don't know. I don't have kids, so maybe this is an inappropriate, like, my kind of bracing for like what's happening. She's having a conversation without saying, "Hey, can you pardon me one moment? I need to go and help my kid." I don't know how to articulate what I'm feeling right now.
I can help you with that if you want. I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
I understand what you're trying to say. Well, one, she's going to make the editing of this podcast very difficult because she's not stopping and saying, hang on 1 second, or muting herself. Maybe she is muted. I don't know. But muting yourself, handling what needs to be handled with your children, of course, and then coming back to the podcast. One, I feel like that would be more respectful of the podcast host. And two, it would make it a lot easier for the editing purposes of that podcast.
Mm,
And three, bare minimum, just maybe mute yourself so that you can handle, what needs to be handled and not interrupt the speaker. I don't
yeah.
know.
Yep.
Am I close to what you were trying to
Yes.
say?
Very,
Okay.
very spot on. It's just
Okay.
sometimes it's difficult because I don't have kids, so I don't know if I'm coming from a place of bias because I don't I haven't experienced those interruptions in an actual real life way of making sure a human stays alive and you have that long-term relationship and that connection, and like I don't know what it's like, but it's also it just feels rude to not,
Yeah.
take a pause or
I mean,
I guess it's that communication. It's that saying like what you say, "Hey, I need a parent really quick." And then you give your full attention to the one of your kids who comes in. And that's great. Like it's so and again, having edited and produced a podcast before, the audio part of it it's such a bear sometimes. And to have all of those different sounds coming in, if you're not recording it locally and they're separate, you're going to have really dirty audio. And so it's it feels disrespectful to the podcaster. So anyways,
agreed.
yeah.
My next thought.
Hold that one
is
down,
about
or you
you.
can have this one.
That's always how it goes, because I think about, wow,
Oh,
I'm feeling this way,
there's a blanket.
and it's not about
Right.
comparing, but it's just about knowing how intense, grief is and how the impact. So talk to us a little bit about how losing Jessie Lee and being in the grieving process right now has impacted you as a leader.
How has it impacted me as a leader? I often say I didn't just lose one person. And I know that I'm not the only one that lost more than one person. And in leadership, we talked about it in the beginning, that it is not just leading other people. First and foremost, it's leading yourself. And so it rocked everything. She is started off as I wouldn't necessarily say a mentor, but a leader that I looked up to. And over time became this.
I don't understand. I don't I'm confused. Is she going to explain how she lost more than one person? Because isn't Jessie Lee only one singular person? Or is she saying that she lost someone who was in multiple positions in her life and she lost that person in all of those roles?
The second part.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so literal sometimes. I get lost in the listening to what someone says, and so I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, that's okay.
God.
This mentor of mine that I was really looking at in ways of how she led in leadership and in business. So a mentor in both of those. Maybe not necessarily in life, because our lives look totally different, right? Mom, 3 kids, husband, all of those things, right? And over time becoming my best friend, She was the godmother to my children before my best friend, which is interesting. And, you know, my kids love her. She's the best friend of my husband.
What?
She's completely integrated into every layer of.
What?
Wait. She made Jessie Lee her kid's godmother, before they were best friends?
Is
Seems
that
a
an
little odd to
inaccurate?
me.
Is it odd because normally someone that you would ask to be in that position would be a closer person?
Yeah.
Also, can I just speculate for a second, or can I ask a question? Would hypothetically it be using your kids in a transactional-esque way by having or asking Jessie Lee to be their godparent in hopes that it brings you closer to best friendhood? Is that like unrealistic of me to ask, or is that like too far out of the
I don't think you
possibility?
need to ask that. I think maybe that's your perspective,
Okay.
and I can 100% see why you would think that, if you are thinking that. I
Yeah.
think that her saying, "Oh, well, she was my kid's godparent before we were best friends." Well, why would you make your upline the godparent of your children?
Mm.
Unless, again, we talked yesterday about pay attention to the motive. You know, is that the motive? Is that one more thing that she has done or said, or both, trying to push her way into being Jessie Lee's best friend? And I would venture to say that, yeah.
Yeah, and Viola said she knew Jessie Lee Ward desired kids and and a real family, and Courtney tried to give that to her. And that is maybe an additional facet of this twisty situation. It seems twisty to me, and it could not be twisty in real life. All I have to go on is what Courtney says on social media, and also, you know, Erin's experience and what she's going to tell us, like, that are not true what Courtney ends up saying later on the podcast. So, and again, if we're like way off base, or if you have a different thought, let us know in the live chat. Let us know in the comments. Let's have a discussion. We love to have civil, respectful talks about things. And we will, you know, I don't know. It'll be good. I just can't imagine.
Absolutely.
Hermit said, I just can't imagine making the potential guardian of my hypothetical children to someone I was not close with. Yeah.
It's odd. I would never.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry, my mouse is getting to the end of its life. I feel like I'm you know, on one of those old Nintendo stations when you had to blow the cartridges to like get the dust out.
Listen,
and then you stick it in.
that was an art form.
I know. It's not
I know my
feeling
Gen X
mouse.
people know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Okay. So here's the thing. With mobile streams, some of the quirks that YouTube is still working out is helping the chat be an overlay so that you can enjoy the full screen on your phone. So we have to take off the DVR version that you're going to enjoy on a horizontal stream. So if you got here late, I know it's going to be a pain in the butt. It'll only be live, and then at the end you'll be able to go back and forth when the stream finishes. So when YouTube fixes that, we will put the DVR back on, but we were trying to, with the situation with this being such a different format, trying to work with what we have, using this as a tool to reach more people, and in teaching and like warning people about MLM. We're occasionally doing these type of streams, and we know there are some changes, and sometimes the changes are a little bit difficult, and we'll just keep you posted when YouTube changes that. So we appreciate the flexibility if you're able to be flexible with us. So
Definitely.
Of our life, my anchor of trust, you know, and so much more. And so when you said that before, it was, thank you again for that. I had to really take this big step back. And in the past, when it came to leadership, the thing that would catch me up with those I was leading is that I wasn't able to fully communicate how I was feeling and what I was experiencing when I couldn't show up to the fullest capacity. And so it's really interesting to, okay, go show daddy.
I'm sorry, this is a good point. Brandy Lee said, on the flip side, my besties are not the ones we have chosen to raise our children should we both pass. Not because we don't love them, but because our parenting styles are very different. And we heard about the parenting style difference between Courtney Shortney and Jessie Lee based off of what Jessie Lee said on one of her live streams when she was still alive. How I'll say allegedly to protect myself. You can go back and watch it on one of the platforms that still has her lives, where she said that, and I guess this is a content warning for hitting children. So if you want to, I will wave my arms when I'm done talking. She basically got fed up that the kids weren't listening to her because Courtney and Josh allegedly do gentle parenting. Jessie Lee got fed up when she was babysitting them one night. Yep.
Yeah.
And she spanked, if not all the kids, she spanked one of the kids because they weren't listening. And I'm not a parent. I'm just a kid of ethical parents. And they would have, when someone came over to babysit, it was my parents' rules. And that, like, end of discussion. And so it should have been Courtney and Josh's rules, end of discussion, in my opinion. And when I heard Jessie Lee
That's
say
not
that,
in my opinion. I'm sorry, that's a fact.
Okay. It's like, tell us how you feel, Aaron, because like you have kids.
If somebody put their hand on my child, somebody would have to bail me out.
Yeah. And I think that's the case with a
you're
lot
coming.
of y'all.
Yeah, you're coming into my house and you're babysitting our children, and we're paying you to do so. Typically, I don't think Jessie Lee was getting paid, but and then I find out that you put your hands on my child. Oh no, honey. Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. It was bad. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Savannah said jinx, Aaron. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Savannah would have to bail me out. One of y'all would have to bail me out. It would be bad.
Please. I know, go show dad. He doesn't feel well his own today. Anyways, so whenever I was processing this publicly, like such a public loss, there were definitely a lot of upsides to that for sure. And also just processes that I knew would come that I needed to be fully aware of how I was going to navigate as well. And being able to have so many people already have this awareness of what I was going through almost made it easier for me to still also communicate. I didn't back away from that. I was like, I know what I've done in the past. I want to make sure that I show up differently in this. And then there are so many layers to that have come over the last 6 months of, wanting to feeling like this is what I want. This is what I want, and this is the vision I see, and also allowing all of these other strong leaders' visions to be able to be in that as well. But really the first thing that we had to do was that we had to grieve. And we had to just step away.
God. Courtney's just being more and more wild. But this is a good...
First of all,
yeah.
What is this question? How I don't remember how she worded it, actually. Something about grief. How did that impact your leadership?
Yes. Yep. How is
Next
this
question.
That's such a strange and seemingly exploitative question, in my opinion. I mean, it is like, that is something to say. Has the loss of somebody close to you improved, or has your leadership improved or gotten worse? Or has anything, like, you could frame it in a positive way. Have you gained some perspective after losing Jessie Lee, and how did that impact the leadership of your team? You could have done it like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're answering right now. I'm confused.
I think Courtney is too, honestly, just in my opinion, but that's not me like jabbing. That's genuinely, I think she's lost the plot here with this question. Also, this question seems very, I'm going to say MLM manipulative type of a question.
Yep.
Why would you intertwine grief and leadership into a question? Why not say, how are you doing with grieving? What are some tips or what are some ways that you have found to help you get through the day or the moment? Things like that, I feel like would be more beneficial to the audience and more relatable to the audience. Anybody that's lost somebody that they loved and cared about, that probably would be beneficial and of value to the audience versus how is your grieving impacting your leadership? Maybe make those two different questions, but it seems very kind of MLM manipulative type of a question. I don't know. It's weird to me.
Yeah, and there was somebody who's in school to be a counselor or counselor in training, and they said it's a terrible question to ask someone. So I think we're all on the same, like, this feels like a red flag of a question. So
major red flag.
Yeah.
Hey,
if I had one.
And
I know we need to. I need to get a clip of that guy with a red flag running on Instagram where he like picks up a green flag or a red flag and he's talking over these like red flag either TikTok or Instagram or YouTube shorts, and it's like, this is what I need. I need to credit him on the bottom. I just need like a 1 second like him running across.
Absolutely. That would be awesome.
That was also really, really hard in the process of showing up for ourselves, working our businesses where it felt appropriate for us and it felt not forced, and still at the same time giving ourselves grace. It's like this, like, it's just thinking of it like the water and flowing and just really trying to, I'm not going to force this. I think it's, and then at the same time, it's so public that no matter, I had to have an awareness that no matter what I do, people are going to judge me. They're going to have opinions about it. And there may or may not be some people that I will then have to see the kind of opinions and things that they have to say. Because sometimes people want to share that with you.
Yep.
Courtney, just say you watch our YouTube videos. You know what I'm saying? Like, just tell us that because we know that.
Yeah.
We know that.
Well, you're saying the exact
also,
like word for word of what we're saying on some stuff in your lives. Oh, just timing wise, the day after a video goes up, you're going to use the phraseology, or Jesse Lee would, or whatever other person would. It's like, just be honest. Just say, look, I disagree with this point and this point and this point in the video, and here's why I disagree with it, if it's even worth your time to say that. But don't say, I don't watch it, and then quote something word for word. Come on.
Yeah. Like, we know the truth.
Yeah.
Aaron's wink was perfect. Oh, yes. Thanks.
Yep. Or hear me out. If you need a little time off to grieve, take a little time off.
Yeah.
But you can't in multi-level marketing. You cannot, because it's not residual income. It is completely based off of who you're recruiting, the volume they're purchasing from the company, and what your customers are buying. However, you make far and above more money from your reps in your downline who have signed up to also be reps than you do from actually selling the product. And if you stop selling, then you stop making money because it's 100% commission based. You don't have a base salary. You don't have health care. You don't have dental. You have nothing except what the company promises you if you do a certain number of volume in the exact right way they want you to. So if you ever hear someone saying, oh yeah, residual income, incorrect. It's absolutely, where's my sound? Wrong. It's just wrong. In my
Agreed.
Opinion, but okay. Oh god.
And so, yeah, it's just an interesting, I mean, maybe you kind of like, for me, there's so many layers to it and so many things that I've really had to navigate because I think for many people, just losing a best friend, this isn't like that. And it's not to discount what anyone else has gone through. Those of you who have lost family members closest to you, it's not exactly like that either. You know, she's not my blood. But I did take on for a piece of that grieving experience in my leadership and all of these things where I'm kind of being navigated through like this. You know, like there were legal things that I was kind of in the midst of, and there.
Attention shoppers, Aaron Bees is about to expose the bullshit going on in the stream.
Oh my God. Legal things, you say, Courtney. Is that why you hid the dogs for so long? Because they're technically, what we've learned from the lawyers in the chat, shout out to y'all, is that they are considered property, and that would be part of Jessie Lee's estate, which is in probate court. Now, why is it in probate court? What I have learned is she didn't have a will, so it would have ended up in probate court. But allegedly, Courtney here, you know, the deeds behind the scenes, if you will, tried to allegedly pick up Jessie Lee's ashes. Jessie Lee's parents are both very well alive and very much alive and well. That's what I was trying to say. Why would she think that she was entitled to her ashes? And that is the thing in all of this, since Jessie Lee's passing, that will send me through the roof, is the lack of respect for the family outside of the MLM cult, and I'm going to call it that.
Yeah.
If you remove the MLM culty aspects of all of this, that wouldn't happen. A best friend would not try to go pick up the ashes of their deceased best friend and think that it was okay.
Yeah.
That's not normal behavior, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know how you get from maybe having a more reasonable response to grief to getting where where Courtney is and saying, yeah, the right decision is trying to pick up the ashes of someone that I'm not related to. I don't know how you get there. It's audacious. It was inappropriate. And for her to say, oh, the legal stuff I was tied up in, to make it seem like something, I don't know, something sophisticated or like whatever, you know, I don't know, something not slimy, like trying to pick up your best friend's ashes from the funeral home, to try to sneak them essentially out, but you can't because you're not related to them, it's wild.
I just can't imagine the thought process, like you've mentioned. Like, how do we get to that point? And then getting in the car and then driving over to wherever her ashes were, walking in and saying, oh, I'm here to pick up Jessie Lee's ashes. Now, I don't have necessarily any experience in this department, but I think that there's probably like a chain of custody kind of situation when it comes to somebody's ashes being collected. I would think that there would be questions asked. I don't know, because I've never been in that situation. So if you guys have any insight on that, I'd love to hear about that in the comments. But the thought process, how did we get here?
Yeah. You know who might know about the process for picking up like the ashes and stuff? Isn't one of the people in the anti-MLM community a mortician or a
anti-MLM?
Yeah. Maybe we can ask her off stream or something.
Yeah.
I think that might be interesting to ask her, because that would be good to know. Unless somebody else in the live chat right now is a mortician or or owns a funeral home or has worked in that process in a funeral home, you know, you can let
us know.
I had to designate who could pick up. Oh, here we go. Sarah Jean said, I had to designate who could pick up my dad's ashes when he was cremated. No one outside of that list could legally do it. Interesting.
Jessica said, "Can you imagine being a judge and this case comes across your desk?"
No. Oh, and judges experience wild things in the courtroom, and I cannot imagine it.
I
I
could
cannot.
not
Yep.
imagine. And also, let me say, I can't imagine what Jesse Lee's family is having to deal with
Yeah.
in all of this. I mean, Jesse Lee was such a public figure, and now all of this is public because she was such a public figure, and it's like the level of disrespect from, I'm going to say, people in the empire when it comes to Jesse Lee's family is atrocious to me.
Yeah.
It's atrocious.
Yeah. You said disrespect too, and I think delusion and disrespect. I think it's
Agreed.
wild. It's absolutely wild.
There was like all these other extra layers to everything. And so it's interesting because we said we knew this podcast would kind of unfold exactly and line up exactly when it was meant to. And I'm now on the outside of that. So for those of you who have maybe had to be in the legal stuff, I just want to let you know that I feel as though if you're involved in it, you're getting signs from the loved one that you have that has transitioned. I know you are.
Those of you who are involved in the legal stuff are getting signs about
From the loved one that's passed.
what legal stuff is she referring to? Is her getting in trouble for picking up the ashes? Is it for her allegedly taking the property off of Jesse Lee Ward's estate and like clothing and dogs? Is it, I mean, what legal things are you talking about? Are you I'm really confused. And then to pretend you're in the right. That is even more confusing.
Yeah.
To me.
Well, I think she's referring to the probate court
Okay.
situation for Jesse Lee's estate. And I've seen a lot of people in the comments mentioning, that maybe she thinks that she's entitled to these things. And maybe she does because she was so loyal to Jesse Lee for so many years. Maybe she truly does think that she's entitled to these things, which makes no sense because Jesse Lee very much has family. I'm sure, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. And the judge is not going to you have messages from the dead and that justifies everything. Yeah, I'm sure the probate judge would not like that. It is interesting. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this? So we've already heard that Courtney Shortney is like a self-proclaimed stalker in her pursuit of Jesse Lee. And that she pursued her at all costs. She pursued her. She moved to Texas. She was adamant about doing whatever she had to be friends with her. She let Jesse Lee be the godparent to her children. They then became best friends. Do you think, and like some of the live chats brought up, that mindset of you're my best friend or we're going to be friends no matter what kind of has solidified like her thought about her right to having things that were Jesse Lee's, because of course nobody could have loved her as much as she did, even though that's not a determinant in probate court. But what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think that a lot of this boils down to, I think Courtney feels she put the time in, so she should be rewarded for that time. And I think Jesse Lee's things, whether it's clothing or the dogs, or whatever else. I mean, we saw Avi with the chair that would be part of Jesse Lee's estate, and he's covering it up with a shirt or something. And it's like, yeah, I'm getting long-winded, but essentially, I think that Courtney feels entitled to these things because she put the time in.
And just for live chat's sake, you're not entitled to that. That's an assumption. That's not reality. And it's important to be able to differentiate what reality is from what narrative you're telling yourself in your mind. So,
Yeah.
And if you allow yourself to be open to those and just allow yourself to feel, but know that the person that you love, their spirit is here trying to guide you and allowing you, like, they're moving mountains and they're removing all obstacles and they're making miracles happen. And just allow yourself to be patient. I've really had to be patient in my journey with my leadership. And I've just tried to learn, unlearn, relearn. I'm healing in this process, and I'm just listening and understanding even more how to process my emotions, how to make decisions effectively. And, people will tell you got to take your emotions out of your decisions. I found out I'm actually an emotional authority. Like, I make decisions emotionally. I have to feel it. Some people, it's like they just have a gut instinct that says yes or no. For me, I got to process the emotions. I have to take a little bit of time. And then my body will literally say, hell yes or no.
Right.
Like, my whole body will feel it. And so I think that's for me. In the process of losing Jessie Lee, I have tapped in so much more into who I am, how I feel, how I make decisions, how I navigate things, how I am showing up not only for myself, but for my family, for our organization, for those new people that I'm bringing into my life as well. And really back to that presence and just being intentional with everything I do.
Yeah. On purpose, right? The purposeful, intentional living is coming through loud and clear. And something that you spotlighted really in your own share about honing in on your own decision making really captures nicely where I was going to anyway, because I was going to spotlight grief being so personal, and it sounded like when you were sharing that, like you owning your own decision making process. And that's similar with grief, right? How you grieve may be very different than how I grieve. And
it's not a race.
Yeah, exactly. Although I think to that note, lots of times people are uncomfortable with grief, so they try to rush you to have it be a race, right? Or they
rush. They're not doing. They run away from it.
Right. Exactly.
Rushing is running. Like you're avoiding it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Stop interrupting.
And so for everybody who is tuned in and listening, I really want to encourage you, if you are grieving right now, to turn up the self-care dial, right? Like all the way up. Rest when you need to, cry when you want to, share your feelings, speak of your loved ones. I think that's another thing because it's so painful. Sometimes people try to avoid it, and that causes all the more grief, right? Because you're not flowing with the grieving process in a way that honors, what's true for you. And people may be uncomfortable, but let people be uncomfortable, right? For anybody listening, you get to experience grief and the grieving process in a way that suits you, and not everybody will understand. I think about, Courtney, a lot of times what people focus on with the stages of.
Okay, just another thing. And again, this is all our understanding. One thing is, and let me know if this is you in the chat. I feel like I'm like saying Emma, let me say things. Courtney Shortney has said that she's neurodivergent. She said that she thinks that she has ADHD, from what I understand from what she said. And so I know that there are some traits of being neurodivergent. Interruption can be one of them. And Jessica or our other ADHD buddies in the chat can maybe fill us in a little bit, but that could be one of the neurodivergent traits. We're not, I don't know what the balance is to be able to interact in a way that also allows for the other people to speak. Courtney seems to be aware that she is interrupting, and then she doesn't course correct and stop doing it. So that I don't know what that means, but I just want to bring it up when we see it because it is a thing And that could be part of what's happening here. I don't know. I'm not a therapist. I'm just neurospicy myself. So, okay. And here's Tara saying, I have ADHD and I have to be really conscious about not interrupting people. Yep. I feel like that sometimes I have to interrupt because I'll forget it by the time the other person is done. That is a really good point. And as we are going hard for the unethical things that are going on here that we're debunking with Courtney, I think Aaron and I are on the same page about also having a nuanced approach to say this is a complex and there's complexity to this situation. One of those facets of complexity is potential neurodivergency, and we're going to kind of repeat it throughout because we know we have some people coming in midstream, maybe came in earlier and didn't hear that part. And it's not black and white, as so many MLMs try to tell you. It's this way or that way. It's this situation is the only way it could be. It's complex. So sorry for that squirrel trail.
Oh, you're good.
Here we go.
Of grief are the 5 traditional stages, denial and bargaining.
This was me. These are my stages. It's like this.
Right.
Like
it's like that. Totally.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like all over.
Yeah.
And you started talking. Go ahead, say it again. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. In any given hour, you can weave in and out of all the stages, right? It's not like, you could like linear, right? It's not the same as leadership. It's not the same as healing. And
even some of my friends were like, I'm here. I'm at this stage. I'm like, I've already felt them all and gone back 3 times again. Like, I just think for like an awareness to know what those feelings actually connect to, like a stage for sure. They're there for a reason for us to understand them, to know what they feel like. And you're supposed to feel, and you're not supposed to apologize for crying. Notice like, Dre didn't say anything to me. She just let me feel and let me process. Like it will come when it just happens, and it just comes. And there's this video that Tyler Perry is like Oprah and Tyler Perry on stage. And this woman asks about something about processing grief, and she starts to cry. She's asking like something about losing her mom, and she just starts to cry. And she's like, I'm sorry. He says, no, grief just happens. You're supposed to feel it. You're supposed to process it. Like it will come up, and that is, you can't stop it. You're meant to experience it, and you don't need other people to say, oh, you've got this. It's okay. Like just sit there with them. And if you need to do something, put your hand on your heart and then give it out to them. Like just give them love. Like it's okay that they're crying. It's okay that they're feeling. It's meant to happen. And you specifically asked about the process and leadership, but the process overall was knowing that when those feelings would happen and people would say, what's wrong? Like you can just say, it's just grief, like for those who know that you're going through it, you'd be like, I don't know. Like, I don't actually know what I'm feeling right now.
This is not sped up at all. This is regular speed. So yes, I would slow her down, but there's so much of the video left that we can't.
Can you imagine? Oh my God.
Yeah. It's interesting she's talking about what healthy grieving looks like when she also tells her daughter that Jessie Lee speaks through her, and that seems very unhealthy. I understand that people can have really big, I don't know what the right word is, but blind spots about their own things in their life that they can have, and that's why it's great to work with a licensed clinician or have conversations with somebody who you trust that you can talk about some of those areas. But it just seems so strange that you could have these healthy instincts and then have this really unhealthy way to approach helping your children grieve with the loss of their godparent.
Yeah, and I think that I said this on the part one yesterday, it feels to me like grief is becoming a part of her brand, and any opportunity that she can mention Jessie Lee or that she was her best friend. I mean, somebody said in the comments, I wish we had like a best friend counter or something, because it's like the competition aspect of I was the closest with Courtney is, to me, it's apparent. But also, I think it's really confusing to people, because when you're grieving somebody, you know, and you are having these memories come up and things like that, you want to talk about that person and you want to honor that person and share those memories with people. But what I feel like we're seeing is Courtney making grieving Jessie Lee a part of her brand. And it just makes me wonder if it's to try and capitalize on Jessie Lee's followers. Like, oh, Jessie Lee is no longer here, so maybe Courtney's the next closest thing. And I just think that thought process to me feels delusional.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, everybody is an individual. So if something were to happen to me, getting close to my best friend is not going to replace me.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Maybe I'm explaining that kind of in a different way, but it just seems really odd to me.
Oh yeah, it feels odd to me as well, but I think that what you hit on of her using the death of her best friend to potentially recruit people into her own downline to bring more people into multi-level marketing as well. That's one of the unethical things that we're talking about here on both of our channels, trying to fight against multi-level marketing and the way that it really, and I believe that it harms people financially and emotionally and sometimes physically with these health and wellness companies,
Spiritually.
and spiritually. And if that is the case, that our assumptions about what she's doing with Jessie Lee Ward's death, even if they're not her intention, that's the consequences of what she's doing are clear, that she is getting interest in people's keeping the interest up for her whole team, because she is now the upline of several big leaders. So her story, these stories, these insights that she's doing are continuing to draw people in because of Jessie Lee's former reach. And that whole issue, exploiting your best friend's death for personal profit, is an issue for me. And
Yeah.
I think for Aaron
And
too.
yeah, for sure. And I think that there's similarities too, as we're kind of chatting about this. I think there's similarities too with how Jessie Lee was speaking about her cancer diagnosis and all the, I'm going to say, non-traditional methods that she was trying to treat it. And I think I can see similarities between what Courtney is doing here and what Jessie Lee was doing with her cancer diagnosis, and the things that she was saying about the oncologists, and exploiting that scenario for financial gain. I'm trying not to get too long-winded, because I don't want to turn this into a conversation about Jessie Lee and her cancer diagnosis and this and that. But as I'm listening to this and in this conversation, it just feels very similar in, we're going to use this really terrible situation to gain more of an audience so that we can benefit financially and bring them into the multi-level marketing company, like you were just mentioning, DeeCee. And to me, that just feels unethical.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Like, I'm just emotional, or these are happy tears, and you start to know that. You start to know that the tears aren't always sadness. They're not always anger. They're not always, why aren't you here with me? Why did God do this to me? And, you know, you have to really own those thoughts, because if you don't own them and face them and express them in some way, shape, or form, one of the things that I did a lot and I'm still doing is writing things down. I'm just journaling, because grief really has taken my memory on its own roller coaster as well, knowing that it was like an elephant, and now I'm really just trying to find new ways to
I'm not good with phrases and remembering what they mean, but doesn't like having a memory like an elephant mean like you remember really good details for a long everything? Is that not the antithesis of what we've seen from Courtney and her ability to retell situations that are factual and based in reality?
Mm-hmm. Also, aren't the ketones supposed to be helping with mental clarity? That's one of the main that's one of the main benefits that I was taught to talk about when I was in this company, and also that we see people in this company currently talking about. So to me, what she's saying here feels like, well, I don't remember things. So that's why I say this, the things that I do.
Which is it? Which is it, ma'am?
Yeah,
and we talked about this yesterday too. The double speak, the back and forth of completely opposite things that she was saying that happened yesterday. If you missed yesterday's stream, you don't need it to be able to watch this one, but you might want to go back and see examples of what we're talking about, with her saying one thing and then 5 minutes later saying the complete opposite.
Yep.
So just an interesting thing to put out there. All right.
Keep things anchored in that I want to remember. And so writing them down has been a really, really helpful part of that process, to feel, to cry, to experience, to just sit with my grief and how it comes up. And I know that I'm really grateful that I get to do it at home or wherever I am. Like I work from home, I work from my phone, and
I think the one thing with Courtney Shortney is that the memory issues were impacting, like were showing themselves way before Jessie Lee passed away. So I know there can be memory loss from during around a period of time when you have significant grief. We're not critiquing her for that in this situation. We're saying ketones don't work. You're selectively telling us stories or you're selectively misrepresenting stories or situations that happen. And we take issue with that, because you could be telling the truth, and there's people to debunk what she's saying. So I think it's a pattern that she's shown that didn't start once Jessie Lee passed away. So again, we're trying to do this with as much nuance as we can, because we know grief's a big topic. We know a lot of y'all are either experiencing grief or have grieved before. And we don't want to just try to swing a sledgehammer and knock out as many things as we can. It's a complex thing, and also because Aaron actually knows Courtney Shortney from being on a team with her. We have that opportunity to debunk this with Aaron. So yeah. We're ready.
Yep.
Buckle up.
Don't want you guys to think that you can't just stop in a moment and feel your grief, no matter where you are. If you have to go back to work and all of those things, our love is with you. Just bring that journal and just write and sit with your feelings and allow yourself to process, and don't allow anyone to rush you through that.
Yeah. And that's healthy grief. That's really what it looks like to experience healthy grieving. Yeah. Because, my work often speaks about time does not heal all the wounds, right? There's some things that just inevitably change us, and feeling it and facing it is necessary. Otherwise it stays and stays and stays and stays in such a disempowering way for long periods of time. And I know firsthand, when my father died in 1998, it was too much. My father was the closest person to me. It shook me to my core. And processing grief at that time was too much. I was 19 years old. It was, for me at the time, easier to check out of that and try to be busy and distract myself and, go on a journey. But years and years later, somewhere around 27, when I slowed down, there it is, right? There's no getting away from it. So I just want everybody who's tuned in to, be with this idea of healthy grief, allow yourself to feel, be with your emotions, share, talk about your person. It's okay to cry.
Yeah.
It's okay if you have a rough day. It's okay if you have a rough week, right? The human experience is complex, but don't rob yourself of the human experience trying to avoid parts of it. I think that's super key.
Not only allowing yourself to feel the love, but allowing yourself to receive it as well. In this process, sometimes people just, they want to be there to support you. And so allowing those people in is also really healing in this part of the journey. And you said something of in processing, you said when you were younger. For me, when I was younger, when I would lose people, like my grandpa was an undertaker. For those of you who don't know, like he actually, if people pass away, that was where he would come from, the funeral home. He worked for the funeral home, for the morgue. Like he was this person that would come and take the person that you lost and then take them wherever they're supposed to go, if they're being cremated or if they're, being, autopsies, etc. Like he takes them exactly where they're supposed to go. And so I was in the funeral home from as long as I can remember until my grandpa, even my stepdad worked for them, until my grandpa retired.
Wait. You're telling me she's familiar with the processes of taking a loved one to be cremated or whatnot, and picking up the ashes, and probably somewhat familiar with the legality of that, and she still allegedly went to pick up the ashes of Jessie Lee, thinking she was entitled to them, even though legally she was not entitled to them?
I don't even know. The fact that apparently she has so much experience in spending so much time at the funeral home and then to end up here. This is not, I didn't listen to all this before this live, so that part was new to me. I'm shocked. You can think like maybe Courtney was just excited and she was maybe just acting without inhibition or whatever, and going and doing things based off of her emotions. But she has allegedly, according to her, a whole experience of hanging out at funeral homes. So she should know better. Is that what we're thinking?
That's what I'm thinking.
Is that what live chat's thinking? Is that what replay crew's thinking? Because holy guacamole. Oh my gosh. Chelsea said, unless you have permission from a daggone family member, you are not entitled to pick up remains. And I don't even know if a funeral home would release them anyways.
I would hope not.
Oh.
I would hope that they wouldn't release the ashes to anybody.
Yeah, they shouldn't. And Melissa said she probably thought she could manipulate them into giving her the ashes because she feels familiar with the industry. That is a possibility.
Yeah.
Wow.
Imagine her going in there like, oh, I'm the best friend. And then if they're asking for some sort of paperwork, I would imagine they would want, is there a will or something like that? Imagine her showing up and going, oh, no, it's fine. I'm the best friend.
Yeah. Okay, so Jessica has a question. Wait, do we think she might have used her stepdad's license to acquire the ashes? We don't know.
I don't know, but that's a great question.
Holy crap.
Oh my God.
Holy crap. I wasn't expecting this. Because holy crap. Holy crap. Oh my
That's a
God.
lot.
It's a lot.
So hearing these stories, it was like I was very much so detached from grieving. I lost my great grandma, who's like my person, when I was 4, 5, and I still remember asking people, like, some people tried to say she was asleep, like
Sure.
at 5
And
years old. That's so
and we get that, John. That's pure speculation. It's just information she shared, and we're not trying to have our questions be taken as fact. It's just we've seen some audacious things she's done, and we're genuinely asking questions. So, but
Yeah, I
John
think you
does
did
know.
pose that as a question.
Yeah, yeah. And I love being able to clarify after the fact, because if anybody's confused, I'd love to be able to restate something. And I'm happy to do that for sure.
Yeah.
Did they give her the ashes? No, they did not, Patricia. They
Thank
did
goodness. Can you
Yep.
imagine?
And because of that, wasn't Courtney uninvited to the funeral? Or
I don't
no, she
I'm not
ever
sure if
was?
it
Okay.
I'm
I
not
don't
sure if it
know.
had anything to do with that, but I know that Courtney talked about being asked
Yep.
not to come to the wedding and that it was just for family.
Okay.
That was what Courtney said in her stories at some point.
Yeah. Because I know
Which,
there's there's so
imagine
much.
being the best friend and the family allegedly asking you not to attend. What kind of a best friend were you?
Great question. Oh, she meant funeral. We're not
Did I say
supposed to.
wedding?
Yeah. I think it was just a Freudian slip, or I've done that so
Let
many
me
times.
drink some more water. Clearly, I'm dehydrated or something. Sorry, guys. Funeral. My apologies. Wedding.
Yeah, it's still just so twisty. It is twisty. I mean, gosh.
The wedding. That's hilarious.
And here's a mobile streaming tip. If you're subscribed, click on the video from your notification tab, not push notification, and it will bring up a normal version, resized, but regular style. That's good to know. That's good to know,
That's
Root Nabing.
cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great to
thank
know.
you.
It's probably the Party Punch Sparkling Sangria, says Brandy Lee.
Shout out to Melissa Collins for sharing that with the world.
Let's go.
This is just sparkling water, actually.
Wouldn't her ashes be available after the funeral? She didn't have a viewing. No, the family gets the ashes, or whoever it's in the will. She didn't have a will, so next of kin, I'm guessing, gets them.
Depending on the
state
laws.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
I wanted to say, and then other people kind of walked me through different examples of that. And I had even lost a friend that I was close to, and then when I lost her, we weren't as close, and even not necessarily fully processing that. So this was really truly at 34 years old, the first time that I had ever really felt this level of grieving, and I had lost like aunts and like I had lost cousins, and just like I've lost people. This was the first time that I've lost someone, and not only lost them, I was there in the room when she transitioned. And
I'm sorry. Courtney. Courtney. Would the other people that were there say that you were in the room when Jessie Lee passed?
Ma'am. But were you?
Also, why is that important?
Yes.
Also, she's saying she lost the people that she was the closest to. What did she say? Her grandpa? And I can't remember who else she gave an example of losing somebody. But then she says, I've never experienced grief like this. But she just told us that her grandpa was the most important person to her, or something along those lines, but she didn't experience grief like she did losing Jesse Lee.
Yeah.
First of all, why are we comparing grief of different people? That's odd to me.
Mm-hmm.
Grief is grief. You lose somebody, that space is never filled, and you have to figure out a way to navigate that every day. Why are we comparing, well, I wasn't as sad, I didn't experience grief, losing this person or that person? That is so odd to me. Also, would the people that were actually at the hospital say, Courtney, that you were in that room? Because I bet they wouldn't. That's just how I feel about it. I like this thumbs up. Oh my God. Stop.
Let me ask you this. What about her comparing the intensity of her feelings about loss is a little unsettling to think about? Is it because she explained how close she was to her grandpa? And like I don't know what I'm asking. I feel like my brain's breaking because I don't.
You're good.
I don't know. Like what
makes me think that she's comparing grief? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, or why is... I know there's intensities of grief, but why is it hitting me a weird way? I don't know. It is hitting me a weird way listening to her talk about the intensity of her grief for Jesse Lee, because to me it's coming across as I must have loved Jesse Lee the most because I grieved her the most. And that might be something I'm picking up that's not accurate, but that's what I'm feeling from, like, this feels odd. Understanding, yeah, you can grieve some people more than others, but something feels wrong is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I just went on a squirrel trail.
No, I think you explained that great, and I think that this plays into her competition of being the closest and
Yeah.
being the best friend to Jesse Lee. Nobody is going to, how do I want to word this? If you say you're somebody's best friend, cool.
Yeah.
Most people aren't really going to think too much about that or try to figure out a way to quantify that.
Mm.
But these types of statements are like she's trying to quantify that. And that's what's odd.
Yeah.
To me.
Yep. Because I don't think that I would take issue with how deeply someone felt about the loss of someone that I felt deeply about. It wouldn't matter. It's not a competition. The sad part is that we both lost somebody that we loved. And the fact that the conversation would even be brought up like, oh, the greatness of my loss for this person supersedes everyone else's like feeling of loss. It's like, that feels a weird part to focus on when you're talking about losing someone. So,
yeah. And I mean, let's also remember that the podcast host was just talking about all the different stages of grief and how you can, go in and out, and it's not a linear thing. And here we are comparing grief. I mean, let's just be honest. There are a lot of people that felt a lot of things after Jesse Lee's passing, and all of it's valid. But for somebody to compare somebody else's grief or compare different losses, I just feel like that's an abnormal behavior. That I don't feel like that happens. I feel like, somebody loses somebody or you lose somebody and you're grieving. And this whole competition thing doesn't come into play. Like, oh, I was hurting so bad when I lost this person, but not so much when I lost this person. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. I think the live chat's also experiencing like the complexity of the strangeness of these comments from Courtney, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, it's very, very personal. And it's also extremely helpful that although you know that no one actually understands exactly how you feel, because they can't, it's very personal. No one can. But it's so helpful to listen and open yourself up to receiving and hearing other people's stories and how they process. And it's just really, really powerful when that having such a public loss that I was able to receive so much, so many different examples, like you right now sharing losing your dad and like not being able to process that at 19. Like it just gives a new perspective. I'm like, wow, you know, it sucks, but at the same time I'm able to process and I'm able to feel, and I don't have to rush it. I don't have to go back to a job and have a boss looking over my shoulder while I'm trying to get work done. Like my work is going live and I can cry with y'all on live video and not think twice about it. And in my stories, I get to show up authentically like I want to. There's so much of this that that's challenging for me as a unique personal experience, but being able to talk to other people and know that I'm not alone in processing grief, and in the things that I am feeling and that I am facing, that's been probably the best part of having to go through one of the most challenging seasons of my life, that I get to build incredible relationships in the process.
Yeah, powerful. The blessings amongst the obstacles, right? And the challenges. But I love how seeing it all so clearly, you know, is standing out. There's so many good things. I feel like there's so many places we could go. For the purpose of time, I'm going to segue us, though, into the speed round, right? Which will be sort of the cherry on the pie, if you will. No right or wrong answer. I'm going to ask you 4 questions, you know, to sort of transition us and just go where you feel guided. Okay. Do you have any questions before I start?
No, I'm excited for this. I love. Yeah. Let's do it. I'm excited. No questions.
Number 1, what is next for you?
That's a loaded question. What is next for you? What is next for me? So I am really currently excited for, you know, like I said earlier in this, I know that there's 2 more years of just back and forth roller coaster, figuring this all out. What's next with this or that or the other, etc. And overall, I have had this same vision, and what I'm most excited about currently is traveling and just connecting with people in person, whether it be, you know, meet and greets and taking my family on tour and then traveling to different countries.
What? Hello? Courtney? What's next for you? We're walking through I don't know, a maze right now of not getting to the answer. What is happening?
I'd like to point out that we went from talking about grief to how did she word it? Excited about building relationships, which is code word for trying to recruit people, in my opinion.
Yep.
And now she's talking about going on tour. And if you guys don't know, because that's a very multi-level marketing term,
Yes.
going on tour means you're traveling to areas where you have team members and you're doing some kind of an event, whether it's a recruiting event or a product event or both. That's what that means.
Yeah.
So how did we go from grieving and speaking about grief to I'm excited about building relationships, and now we're, I'm going to go on tour?
What is happening? Let me see if this one.
It's like she's trying to take on how Jessie Lee was living and the things that Jessie Lee was doing while she was here. And it's odd to me.
Yes. It's very, again, that is, I will say this. Jessie Lee was not a good teacher, in my opinion. And I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead. She basically said, copy me, run at the speed of the leader, And then she took other people's ideas and implemented them. And so now her team can only emulate what they saw her do when she was alive. Go on tour, be very vocal and I don't know how aggressive on your live streams. Overshare in about all aspects of your life on social media. Like there wasn't actually a good understanding of marketing and sales online and networking, and it missed the mark for me, and now her team is stuck. The only one who seems to be able to, Lindy Kynard on the Empire, is a top player in the top ranks. Last year she was either the top 3 of the whole company and some of the competitions they did. So I don't know why more people aren't stacking people under her, because she can actually do some of the things that maybe her upper tier of people should have figured out how to do. But Courtney seems to only be able to emulate because Jessie Lee wasn't a good teacher, in my opinion. But
I mean, she wasn't. Facts.
Personal experience from one of the people, her top, the 14 who went from O'Dare to prove it. Aaron Bees, if you want all the backstory on that, I'm dropping a link in my chat. But if you're on Aaron's channel and you haven't gone down the prove it rabbit hole of sorts of her experience getting out, her experience with it's a tea session only in kind of a respectful way, but also debunking the lies that were spread about her on social media when others were big mad that Aaron was, pulling the curtain back on all the fluffery going on behind the scenes. So definitely check that out. And
Thank you.
The links in my chat.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
We do have the red flag person. Let me put it on.
Oh,
this
you
scene.
do?
Christy got it for us.
I love that. Thanks, Christy.
Let's see. Is this it? Oh, that's not it. It's in the download folder. Red flag. Okay, hold on. Animated overlay.
Oh my God, that's great. Did that just say we've got a live one?
Yes.
I love it.
Befuddled heel click. This is not true. You're
Oh
the
my
best,
God, I love
Christy.
it.
Thank you so much.
It's awesome.
We'll press that next time something happens with that.
Yes, please. That's awesome.
All right, let's go.
Oh, there's an important comment from Beth. Hi, Beth. I hope you're doing well. Beth said, "Oh, Aaron, did you hear that Ozma?" I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I will say that every time because I'm not intentionally trying to butcher her name. She's the former CEO of Modere. She is no longer the CEO of Modere. Which, can we talk about that for a second?
Let's go.
Because when you see companies that hire a new CEO, what typically happens after that?
The company is supposed to improve on their numbers and stuff like that. Sales, revenue goes up.
Yeah.
I don't know. Things are supposed to change.
They hire a new CEO sometimes because the financial situation is not good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But then they come in and they fire leadership.
Yeah.
And hire new leadership and create new systems trying to turn the company around.
Yeah.
Is that what we're seeing here with Modere? I don't know. But I mean, if you're going to fire your top earner, Justin Prince, the day before you're supposed to pay him hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Because he had access to the financials. I find that interesting. On top of tons of top leaders are leaving Modere.
Yep.
So revenue is dropping.
Yep. And John said restructure for success after a CEO hire. Love that.
Exactly, John. Also, hi, John.
Yeah. When did that happen? Very recently, like last.
I want to say within the last few days. Yeah.
Yep. twisty.
Anytime, DeeCee.
Yes, let's go. Let me go over here. I'm gonna press play.
Is experiencing Italy for the first time is happening this year. You know, just living my life in the now. Like, I think that's really the biggest theme of where I'm going and where I'm heading next is connecting and being not only online but in person. And
I thought the whole point of the issue that Jessie, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Jessie Lee because I thought, and Erin, correct me, I thought the whole point was the power of networking online and the beauty of not doing the party plan in-person type things because you can move faster at scale with the internet. So, like, what was taught when you were in? It feels like they're going backwards from what, I don't know.
So here's how the touring thing came around, just to give everybody kind of a backstory on all of this. At one of Eric Worre's events, there were, let's see, Jason Brown, Matt Rosa of I Am Academy. This is years ago. And I believe they were talking about touring. I could be mistaking them for somebody else. But there was talk of touring at Eric's event. And that is where the Empire Tour came about. That's where all of that came about. It was an idea from Eric Worre's events that other leaders were talking about. I don't think Eric even had his mastermind at that time. And so the thought process is go to where your team is, put on these events so that you can sell product and ultimately recruit people. And then that's where you see, like, I Am Academy used to make these flyers, and it would be like this. I don't even know how to describe the flyers. Do you know which ones I'm talking about, DeeCee? Like, we saw, what were the people from Monet?
Oh, God.
Mona?
Why are the words slipping me?
WFAB.
Me. WFAB. Well, Fabby.
So they would they would host events, and they would have like these flyers that they would make, or these, you know, flyer might not be the right word, but it's a digital thing.
Yeah.
And it would have these, like, they'd be in these power poses. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Yeah.
That's where all of this came about. And I don't know if they got that from somebody else who got it from somebody else. I have no idea. But that's where the term touring was introduced to the Empire.
Okay. How interesting that WFAB has spread across so many different organizations and influenced so many things, and now they're crumbling. I don't know. I was gonna say crumbling like, but I'm not good with examples like that. So
crumbling like a cookie.
Yes. Let us know what your examples would be in the live chat. Yeah, crumbling like a cookie. There we go.
Allowing that online, allowing the in-person connections and building to be what is shown online, that you get to do both. I think so often we overthink what we show online, and then we overthink traveling because it's like, can we sit, but they go hand in hand. And so that's the next phase is really just taking the online and still building online heavily, but really being in person and connecting and meeting people and traveling and touring and all of the things. We started off with being in New York for my first time, right? I have so many new places I want to experience, and how magical that was. That event cost nothing.
What?
It was it was for free in Central.
Plane flights, nothing. Yes. What? I mean,
Jessica's comment.
Oh God. I'm scared to look.
Maybe Marina at Frequence will take Ozma in now.
Oh God. Frequence.
Jessica, I cannot.
Let's.
Oh
my God. Oh my God. Too good. When's your next Frequence stream? I feel like they need to have another fun. I guess you just did Marina Simone, so. And
did you know that a lot of her followers are fake, allegedly?
What? Say it isn't
she has, like, Yeah, I think it's like 60% or something. I need to look back through my messages.
Holy crap. Y'all?
It's like 60%, which looks to me like or it's been alleged to me, I should say it that way, that she has purchased followers, which if you're a social media coach and you've purchased followers and you have like 25% of your following as inactive,
Yeah.
Marina,
Yikes.
that 0.19 engagement rate, speaking volumes right now.
From what I understand from being in the industry, because the transition obviously from helping a team or a company do social media to like doing stuff yourself and figuring out your voice and everything is different. But from what I've seen and what I learned from my teachers in school and other experts in the field is if you buy followers, it is almost impossible to come back from that, because guess what? Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and all the platforms basically know it, and if they catch you, you can lose lifetime access to any of the platforms, and they slow bot behavior down so much. So
Yep.
much so, in fact, that if you participate in it, you can't gain your momentum back. It's almost impossible to gain it back. So
Yeah.
you can grow from nothing, and it's better to have a good interacting group at 200 subscribers or 200 followers or 1,000 and be a micro influencer and actually have real people that you're talking to and that you're actually helping. Or if you're a small business and you can keep that trust and with your audience by not sacrificing them on the altar of bots. So
Yeah.
that's just my 12 cents.
There's some really good comments. Jessica said, "Inbeat fake follower checker. 40% inactive followers, which is 25,000 followers."
Yikes. Jessica with the T. Jessica's in the chat are just slaying tonight. I will say that.
I love it. I love it.
Yep.
John said, "Is that their version of fake it till you make it?"
John. Yep. Where's my
And then
yep.
David said, "But Erin, clapping hands emoji, doesn't wait, but she clapping hands emoji doesn't clapping hands emoji need followers."
Oh, I have a good sound.
Clearly you do, Marina.
Ugh, as if. That's
I
just
love
for
it.
Marina Simone. But if you missed, again, I'm not trying to like hype Aaron up, but if you were there with all of us getting yelled at by Marina Simone and clapping and rage, if you're rageful and you know it, clap your hands. She was doing that. And it's like, I'm uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
What is happening? You know that little meme of that kid disappearing into the bushes of that cartoon? That's how I feel.
Yeah, dude.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe she left that up. I think it's so wild. It reminded me of that video that I covered of Ray Higdon where he started screaming and like I
Yep.
don't remember that? And
Yes,
I was
it was
like,
terrifying.
content warning, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for the content warning, because you've been around people that have gone from perfectly calm to unhinged, scary, screaming, like
Yeah.
out of control like he does. It can be very triggering. So
It's
wild.
it's scary.
Yeah.
For somebody to go from 0 to 10 in a matter of milliseconds.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, we got a couple new members. That's exciting. Rascal Beans and Beth. Welcome, you guys.
Let's go. I think we got a shoulder smolder for you. And Rascal Beans, welcome.
Welcome, guys.
Beth,
That's awesome.
Rascal Beans, and was there anybody? I want to make sure we
And
got
Beth.
the shoulder, and Beth. We got the shoulder smolder for y'all. Holy crap. Who's
Yeah,
Marina
thanks,
Simone?
guys.
Oh, Tiffany. Go check it out on Aaron's channel. She was with Modere. She was on John Melton's team. She got hired by Frequence to do their graphic design. If you've seen their PowerPoints.
And the onboarding.
Because what is happening? So she's doing all that stuff. She then is like, Mo dear, peace out. I'm going to Frequent. So then she signed up as a distributor. And now the fluffery is literally afoot. She lost it on a live the other day and Aaron covered it. So that's your prequel to going over to Aaron's channel and watching that, because it's a good watch. Holy crap.
Thank you. And Tish just sent us like something like 6 hours of Frequent's content. DeeCee, I don't know if you saw that, but
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm sure that there's going to be more coming. I'm getting a lot of really interesting messages too. And fun fact, Marina Simone, who has a reel talking about not cold messaging, cold messages people that watch her stories. How do I know that? Because one of you sent me a screenshot of her doing exactly that.
Oh
So
my God.
Marina, girl, stop it.
Here's how I see that reel play out, Aaron. You have your classic eyebrow look of like, what the hell's going on here? In front of the reel of Marina saying she doesn't cold message, and then also you on green screen on top of a screenshot of her
Yep.
cold messaging people. And that's it. I feel like that would be like,
I don't even have to say anything.
Yeah,
I would have to blur out names, but
yeah, that would be easy to do. I feel like that would be.
Okay, I'll do that tomorrow.
Love it.
Maybe
Love
tonight.
It. Let's go.
Central Park, and it was the right people in the right environment, and I want more of that. And so that's really what's next for me is continuing to build our business and leading people into building those 6 and 7 figures from their phones and just taking that online experience offline.
So good. Thank you. So good. And I'm excited for Italy for 2024 for you. So good.
Who's
so good.
Pay
Okay.
for that, Courtney?
Number 2.
Yeah, who is going to pay for that? Also, can we pick a different country to go to that's not doing the exact same countries that Jessie Lee was doing? You know what I mean? It feels like she's reliving the tours that have already been done. But that also might be something of her still processing her grief and wanting to do exactly the same things Jessie Lee was doing so she can hold on to some of those memories, which it is as complicated. It's complicated and twisty and
well, Jessie Lee went to Italy because they were opening Italy, and allegedly she was given team members in Italy. So she would go there because she had team members there. So that makes me question if Italy, how do I want to word this? Italian team members were placed under Courtney. Because why would she go to Italy? And if it's not like a family vacation or something like that.
Yep.
Why would she go unless she had team members in Italy? So Brian Underwood, you move in Italian team members and European team members under Courtney? If so, why?
Yeah, why? And it's also a slap in the face to every multi-level marketer in Prove It who's done the work, who's worked their butt off trying to grow their business. And I'm not a multi-level marketing fan, but to show this much favoritism to somebody who cannot recruit is absurd to me. It's absurd. And yes, Aaron does have the real tea. Let's go.
Thank you.
What words of encouragement do you think Jessie Lee would offer to you during this season of your life?
She has already, actually. I don't really have to think about it. I told you guys, if you're open to signs, they're sending them to you. And I know what a powerhouse my best friend was physically in this world, spiritually in this world. She's even more powerful. She talked about omnipresence, like she's got it. And and I don't really care what people think about me saying that at all, because it's my journey, it's my process, and that's not to be rude or anything. I just have people that want to be naysayers about that, and if it helps us and it helps my kids know that like Jessie Lee's here with us. My daughter's like, Mom, I mean, like she's at our house all the time, don't you think? I'm like, I mean, maybe, yeah, probably. But mom, like, we have like a lot of people she loves in our house. Like, we got the dogs. Then there's like 5 of us. I'm like, yeah, you're right, baby. She's like, so, you know, I know what she would say to me. First thing that she said was, and it's literally the background on my phone is all is according to plan, you know.
So the saying came from Courtney thinking that Jessie Lee told her that from beyond the grave.
Oh my
Because
God.
what? She's the one that started all of this nonsense? I want to read one comment from Helen on my from the last video, because she talked about the all is according to plan, and it also talked about the crossover from like religion, and I thought it was good for whoa, what's going on? Okay, sorry about that. Let me go to,
You're good.
let's see.
While you're doing that, I just want to read this real quick
Yeah.
because I don't know how to say the name of this profile,
Okay.
but I don't want to butcher it. But every single question involves JL. Everything that Courtney is, every experience, every attempt, thank you. And please let us know how you say that your profile. I don't want to butcher it. Everything has to do with JL because JL has become part of her brand. Her grief has become part of her brand. Oh, God.
Yep. And here's that comment. All according to plan, a variation of everything happens for a reason. Both part of coping ideas because randomness is way too scary, but absolutely toxic messaging, whether based on a God reason or fate and the universe. Can we find growth and insight through craps times? Yes. We can be reminded on what is more important when faced with its loss. Yes, we can get a different perspective on life. Does that mean that the crap is a good thing? No. Suffering is never good, never a plan or a calling reason from God. Life is messy, and messy stuff happens whoever you are. Now, trying to get a culture that reduces the messiness by social justice, equal access to healthcare, opportunities in life, etc., is a plan, a reason to act. But even without the human action, messiness, there is still randomness in so many things, especially illnesses. So I thought that was an interesting and well said, like addressing of the twistiness of all is according to plan that they keep sharing, because the suffering that Jessie Lee went through should not have been a part of the plan and was not according to
That makes
plan.
me so mad.
Yeah. Yep.
No,
We should
that was a
suffer like
direct
that.
message from
Yeah. It was. And again, if you're new to this space, if you're new to multi-level marketing, if you don't know one of the top leaders, we were trying to talk about the unethical parts of their business, their recruiting practices, and then in the end of her life, her using and twisting and scaring people about treatment options for cancer, and then using that fear to recruit people into her multi-level marketing company. There's a whole history of this whole thing, and that person is who Courtney lost, Jessie Lee Ward. And now Courtney is saying that the loss of their leader, Jessie Lee Ward, this lady in the background with the 2 dogs on that painting, everything happened basically for a reason. And it didn't. It did not.
me. And then there was also another message that wasn't just for me, that was right after that. through a person speaking and was like, she does not want me to interpret her words. She says, do not interpret what I'm saying. You need to repeat it. She's like, she is not happy with me right now. Like that's so Jessie Lee, you know what I mean? So it's like, I've known when it's her and when she gives signs. And she also said in that moment, I am removing all obstacles. I'm making miracles happen. And I'm moving mountains. I'm removing all obstacles and I'm making miracles happen. And so that gave me my patience.
Sorry, I think some of the audio is messed up. I mean, it's off sync from the video, so I may end up putting the original video back in because I know for some of our friends who need to be able to see the lips and the audio to listen, it's going to be a better experience. So let me just put the original video back in real quick. Sorry about that. Desktop. Courtney. Here's the original one.
What I really wanted to begin with as a question.
False. Courtney. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everybody. I will just trying to down. Let's see.
It's all good. It happens. I don't know am I blurry to anybody else? I'm wondering if my Wi-Fi is being kind of funny.
You look crispy on my end, so let me...
Katie said even my internet is tired of this.
You look crispy on my end, but...
Okay.
I think you do. Okay. Let's see. Where
Katie,
is this video?
that's funny.
It might be in downloads. Let's see. Courtney. There it is.
Thanks for being patient, guys. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. I just need to find the part she was talking because this one's longer. So let's see.
Just so I've got a lot of those praise. Like
I took out the ums when she was talking. So like there were 18 minutes we removed. So let me go back.
She says, do not interpret what I'm saying. You need to repeat it. She's like, she is building those 6 and 7 figures from their phones. And just, I am really currently excited for,
that's
like
the
I said
touring part.
Okay, so I'm going to go forward.
Season of your life.
She has already, actually.
She has already. We're so close.
I don't really have to think about it.
Is that close in here? That's 102, 103.
All obstacles. I'm making miracles happen. And I'm moving mountains. I'm removing all obstacles and I'm making miracles happen. And so that gave me my patience. That gave me everything I needed, that I know that it is all being divinely guided. All is according to plan. And that that doesn't mean that when God sends a boat, you don't get on the boat because, all is according to plan. Jessie Lee is sending me a sign. No, that is your sign. It's open your eyes. It's be open to receiving. It's acknowledging that, we weren't on this podcast sooner for a reason.
Exactly.
I wouldn't have.
And if we are blurry right now, sorry, just I see some, it could be a mobile stream glitch. We are streaming in a higher quality. It should completely render by the time that the live ends, meaning when you watch on the replay. There's just a few quirks, so we appreciate everybody. Thanks for bearing with us, and we know that it's a little bit rough in the beginning when new things get rolled out, but we appreciate everybody, so thank y'all. Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Been able to deliver the way that I am today if we would have done it sooner. I wouldn't have given the same answers today. I probably would have cried a lot more. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that I would have felt a lot more emotional doing it. So, yeah. It fires me up because I'm like, she talks to me all the time, like she's always there with me. And that's been such a blessing.
I love that. All is according to plan. Powerful. Okay, number 3. Name one song that's on repeat in your playlist these days.
Well, the first one I listen to a lot of worship that has definitely helped me in the process as well, because I've just reconnected with my faith and with God, and just,
I thought you were connected several years ago.
I've got.
I'm just asking because why do I know too much about this? I don't know. Jessie Lee was going to church with Courtney maybe a year before she got sick, or a year and a half before she got sick. So that's 2021? So 2022, 2023, 2024, like maybe time means different things to different people. Who knows? Man.
A lot of those praise, like I can hear
her husband believes the same. Her husband believes the same thing she does, Chloe. They're both on the same page, from what I understand, about the grieving process, Jessie Lee in their lives. Now, we don't know for sure, but they seem like a united front when we've seen them on social media. So,
I'm just like, woo! I'm clapping and I'm singing in my car. But the other one that I really love, like, come on, man, Beyonce. I love Taylor Swift. I'm not a Swiftie necessarily, but I love her and like what she stands for, business. She's so strong and empowered, like all these things. But Beyonce getting #1 as the first Black woman and a country artist, I'm like, this ain't Texas. This ain't no Hold'em. I'm learning all the words and like the dances. Like, I just love that song so much. So anything that can put a smile on my face and bring me joy. I have a lot, but those are the two that came to mind.
Okay, that's perfect. Great. All right, and number 4. What words of wisdom would you like to offer the woman in the mirror?
Words of wisdom to offer the woman in the mirror. It's interesting because
it's going to be a Jessie Lee quote.
In the past or to the future, you're literally saying, look at yourself and tell yourself something right now. Trust yourself. You know exactly what you're doing and how to do it.
What if you don't?
And you are more powerful beyond measure, you know? You have this way to connect with people, and the right people are being brought into your life and being removed from it in the process. That the next wave is unfolding exactly how it's supposed to, and there are no coincidences, only synchronicities.
I love that. Yeah, that makes me, my mom says to me often, there's no coincidences, there's God incidences. And I love that because it's just like everything is divine and happening, spotlighting.
And I didn't catch that when she was talking about, correct, Beyonce's not the first Black woman in country music. So again, just another thing that Courtney's not correct about. Jeez.
The people coming in, the people leaving, everything is as planned.
And we get to choose because we have willpower. God gave us that too. We get to choose. Get to. We don't have to, we get to.
Yeah. And, one of the personal development companies that I've taken a lot of workshops from often points out, even choosing not to choose is a choice. So it's super powerful.
Jessie Lee would always say, whether or not you're creating the culture intentionally, like if you're either creating it intentionally or someone's creating it for you.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Courtney, where can the people find you?
Jessie Lee quote.
Oh, yep. I am on all platforms. You can actually, even Facebook /Courtney Shortney. I spell Shortney like I spell Courtney, Courtney, and then Shortney with the SH on the end. And I I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I am on TikTok, really getting back into rebuilding the content that I'm producing, and getting back to the podcast as well of Unleash Your Inner You, which is also on all platforms.
Oh, God.
So I'm excited for the next phase of that experience too. I think it would be really powerful to have you on there. And thank you for asking. I appreciate it. And I look forward to this episode being released so that I can share it with everyone as well.
You already did share it with everyone because you posted it live while you were being interviewed.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much. I really want to spotlight, I host a podcast called The V Spot, where vulnerability is the cornerstone. And because of that reason, I don't share in advance. For those of you who may be new listeners, I don't share with guests, what am I going to ask? Where are we going to go? So I really want to thank you for trusting me.
Yeah.
I recognize that, when it comes to having such a vulnerable conversation about grief with so much emotion attached to it, I don't take lightly that you said yes to be here today. And I want to say thank you for, leaning into the courage, the generosity to share from your heart in this way. We appreciate having you here. Super grateful. Looking forward to sharing out the episode too. And everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Follow Courtney. And until we meet again for the next episode of the V Spot, to be continued. So good.
Recording stopped.
Girl, without hesitation, vulnerability is just like, it's so interesting too, because I felt like, oh, duh, of course, like that. I don't even need the questions, to be totally honest. It's,
Yeah.
I much prefer
people
to
get so
flow.
rattled. They're like, but wait, what are we gonna? And I'm like, I always ask to, spotlight who I'm having on. It's so funny because I remember so clearly when Jessie Lee joins me here and how exciting it was. It was February of last 22. And even with her, she was just like, okay, cool, in terms of like the questions, and where we would go. And it's just so good. So I appreciate it. It's fun. It adds a different level instead of being like, we're going to talk about this, we're going to talk about that. It's just like, go where you feel guided. And I always feel like that's sharing of self in a vulnerable way,
God.
all in itself.
Amazing.
That's the podcast's host job, to create something for the audience. And they being able to be a great interviewer is really special and can set podcasts apart when you're really good at it. And if you have kind of an uncontrolled guest on your show, it can really ruin the experience and the feel of what you've created over like wherever your podcast is hosted or YouTube videos or whatever. So I don't know. I feel like, yeah, genuine organic conversation's great. I don't know what that was. Yeah, I don't know what we just listened to. And unfortunately there's more because she's about to say some more stuff. So I think she initially
Can't
deleted
wait.
it because this end of this conversation, the last 20 minutes of it, were supposed to be unrecorded. And she also said some stuff about one of Jessie Lee's old boyfriends. And I think she was attempting to be respectful, but how are you being respectful of the podcast if you stream it before it even goes out? I don't get that. I don't get that.
Exactly.
So
It was
It's a no for me.
So good. You too, babe. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. And then I'll connect with you in the DM just about the logistics.
Okay, sounds good.
Right.
Appreciate you.
Day.
You too. Ciao.
Ciao.
I love her. I won't be saving this so that you guys can get the podcast
There we go.
on whenever she drops it. I think she said next Wednesday is what she said. I might be doing a coaching call.
Good luck with the editing.
now.
yep.
And I don't know if she wants it live. Hello, Kim. Hello. So yeah, that was about grief, and that podcast is called The V Spot, where they thanks Sarah. Oh, I appreciate you. Oh, Amanda, so good. Thank you for sharing. You're welcome. We'll also have like
Yep.
I think I'll have video stuff
Correct.
too, so I can share little clips from it. Oh yeah, Carrie. Hey.
Yeah, she did.
Like you want to shut down when you're grieving. I know. I feel that.
Just in case we all want to have the complete thought, the V Spot is by Andrea Mancuso, who you can listen to that podcast wherever podcasts are hosted, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. What I will respectfully say, though, if you haven't listened to a podcast episode, do not review the podcast in a mass movement of hate. If you listen to an episode or a lot of episodes and you still don't like it, that's one thing. That's just about me. And of course, do we need a Luna break? Yes, we do.
Can you hear me? Because it's buffering on my end.
We can hear you. Sorry, it's buffering on your end. We can hear you.
Okay. I mean, we're going to work with it, but, you know.
Okay.
I know.
You can hear our purrs. I'm going to try to turn it up loud.
Are you cozy? Hey, Mama.
Oh my God. My favorite. My favorite sound.
She's so cute.
She is. She loves a snuggle. That's just so adorable.
We start and end every day with her laying on my chest in bed.
Oh, that's adorable. How's the
and
integration?
Then she warms up.
Sorry.
It's going well. I do not have the best of experience with introducing animals, so I'm taking it very, very, very slow. But yeah, Leo tried to open the door the other day.
Oh.
So that was fun. But yeah, it's good.
Good. That's awesome.
Kitty cameos are the best.
Yes.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
Yes. Do not touch the poop. Correct.
She's very cozy.
Her purrs are next level. Her purrs are so great.
She has a loud purr. Hold on. Wait. Okay. Bye-bye. See you later. Mia walked in. She was like, I'm out. I had to fix my light. She knocked over my light.
Okay. Christy said that's so disrespectful, though. There are podcasts that absolutely disclose no airing of the interview before the main presenter posts it. Yep. Here we are. And it would be one thing to
all right, man,
record the clips and get them ready for your socials the day that the podcast drops. It's another thing to stream the whole thing and then say like, oh, well, like, I guess I won't, post it. And it's like, well, you said a lot of bad stuff on this, so we are going to expose it. We are.
Yeah. I'm going to try and refresh on my end.
Okay. Let me.
And see if that works.
Okay. Sorry, it's buffering, everybody. It looks like advanced. There we go. It looks like it's okay on my end, but whoops. There we go.
Hello.
Is that better for you?
How's it going?
Great.
It is better.
Good. I think the good thing is the output still looks clear on mine, so I hope that it's working. So
Okay.
here we go.
I'm ready for these last few minutes
I
of
know.
this from her.
I'm going
I
to speed
think.
her up a little bit because she's just going to be pausing a lot in answering questions. So I'm just going to bump it up to 1.25 if that'll work.
If it's too fast, just let us know, you guys.
Yeah, definitely let us know in the chat.
I know, right? The internet, the crash that we had.
Oh my god.
Why is she doing this?
Exactly. Won't forget the way you make them feel. I think that's like a Jim Rohn quote too. Jennifer, how excited she was. Yeah. How you doing, buddy? Oh, he fell asleep.
Why is she still alive?
Thank you. Thank you. Not many people on Instagram right now. It's so funny. Whenever one shuts down.
Facebook didn't shut down. Maybe TikTok did. On Facebook, there were only 9 people, and I didn't count as one of them. So there were 8 people. No shade to smaller reach, but if you're an alleged, multi-level marketing, unstoppable guru person, like, shouldn't the reach be larger?
Agreed.
Oh my god.
It's all about how she's presenting herself.
Yeah.
What is she doing?
If y'all wonder, these were all the pauses,
Courtney.
the 18 minutes of pauses we had to remove. Oh my god.
Oh, all right. Well,
Courtney.
we'll share it in my stories when it gets dropped.
Whoops.
The V Spot by Andrea. What is her last name?
Oh my god. Don't you? Okay. All right.
I'm forgetting.
I can't.
Yeah, so the file that I accidentally messed up, this file is 1 hour, 35 minutes, 13 seconds. On my program and Premiere Pro, you can take out all the pauses, which then dropped it down to like 1 hour and 18 or 17 minutes or something like that. The audio got off, and I know that can really mess you up if you're listening and needing to like read lips at the same time. So we're listening to the unadulterated version, except it's really long, so we had to speed it up. So, yeah. Yikes.
Oh my god.
Yikes.
I don't know why I don't have it saved. I don't have it saved in my phone. Anyway, yes, I told her that I would be deleting this. So I might be doing a coaching call now, and then
I told her I would be deleting this. Andrea?
Why? Why even do it in the first place?
Yeah. It's a great question. It just seems disrespectful. It does seem. Yeah, it's also disrespectful because, Courtney is paying attention to her stream, not giving her full attention to the interviewer. And that's a good point too, Brian. I didn't think about that. Wait, she doesn't know the last name of the podcast host? Did I hear that right? Indeed,
Sure
you did hear that. Correct.
And what's the point of people even listening to the podcast when it comes out if she has the entire interview on her Facebook? I mean, she streamed it. There was some people that watched it, maybe not many, but some people watched it. So what's the point of even shouting out the podcast or sharing the podcast when it comes out?
Yeah. And the thing is, she says, I'm going to delete it because I told her I would. And then she starts sharing information that she thinks is not going to live on the internet forever. And so that's what we're listening to at the end of this. So.
then Facebook got you logged out everywhere. It's the struggle bus. Okay, so I love y'all. Thank you. I will be back later. If you guys need anything, if you guys are messaging and you have not gotten through, just...
Okay, doesn't this sound like the end of the live? Doesn't this like, okay, guys, I'll be, catching you later. This is at 1 hour, 14 minutes. It's going to 1 hour, 35. There's 20 minutes of goodbyes. What? Ma'am?
Oh my
Hello?
God. Terrible.
What is happening? Okay, goodbye, Liam. There you go. Sorry.
Bump it up, bump it up. There are a ton. Here's the thing. I am now officially caught up with all of the unread inbox messages that I can. The dogs are doing well. Oh, hey, Angela. Thank you. Appreciate you. You were here listening. Thanks so much, Lev. What was it?
Why did both of these participants create this podcast? Because I guess the podcast host liked Jessie Lee Ward, and she had experience with Courtney Shortney and wanted to do a podcast and make it about Jessie Lee, but not make it about Jessie Lee. I'm not sure. And we'll be able to read the description when it drops. We just don't know what the whole point was. So
It's probably going to have something to do with grief.
That's a good read on that, because I would my brain's like, I don't know what it was supposed to be about. Oh my God.
I mean,
yep.
Yeah, the podcast description is going to be interesting to read for sure.
Yeah.
What was I saying? I'm officially... What did I say? I need more ketones. I don't remember what I said.
You drank ketones the entire episode, so you don't remember what you said? What?
Yeah.
Pause.
I'm not saving this. I can't remember what I was saying to you guys.
Nervous.
I need more ketones. My brain.
Maybe
In
not.
Instagram, because she was live on Instagram, you can go into your archives and it will save every live, even if you don't save it. So I don't know how she's panicking that she doesn't remember what she said, because she could go back and watch it on Instagram.
Well,
I don't
that's
understand.
interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was like, what in the world? Why it went away and I couldn't even grab it? All right. Got my back, Angela.
What is happening?
Why is she doing this?
Joshua's getting a code, and I don't know if he has one of my phones or not, but I was like, how are you going to get it? Because anyway, so the messages, basically what every message that I am able to see, that I could scroll back and find, my inbox jumped, and I went all the way back. Okay, he didn't do that. Somebody's trying to log into my stuff. Or was that because I clicked Facebook?
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Yesterday at 6:57 p.m.
Don't tell us this stuff. Dear God, do not tell us this stuff. Just a friendly reminder, put on 2-factor authentication on all your stuff, okay? Just do it and change your password. And don't ignore those emails from or like
an eye twitch.
You got an eye twitch now? I have a finger twitch that started right after I finished. We just finished reacting to Courtney last night. I'm just I'm stressed, what is happening? Oh my God. She should call it Good Grief. Oh my gosh. That would be a good episode name. Because it's also good grief, because what do we talk about, but also grief. That would be a good play on words.
I love that title.
Yeah, if y'all want to know, the picture in the background of Jessie Lee and Kumba and Wookie was sent to Courtney by a fan of Jessie Lee, who and Aaron knows more details than I do, but Courtney didn't have it commissioned, correct? She received it as a gift. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Now I can. It just disconnected for a second.
Okay.
YouTube, stop it.
I don't know what's going on.
StreamYard can't come soon enough for getting all their stuff in there, because we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. That's okay. We made it mostly through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got this.
Yep.
Okay. So basically, it jumped in Instagram all the way back to 20 weeks ago. It was like September and October. I caught up on all of the unread messages in that space. I don't know how, but it did it, okay? And then I was like, I don't know, because it might have done that, but it didn't ask for a verification code on my end. It just logged me in. So weird.
Goodbye.
Hopefully it was me. I did just click login, so it probably was me. And even in my unread folder, my filtered folder, and the spam folder, they're all clear. There's nothing in there. However, every now and then, I will get someone that will reply to another message in my inbox. And then I'll go to open their message, and I will see messages from September and October that I've never seen before. That I cannot find them in my inbox, but they're still just hidden, floating somewhere in meta space. Okay, so they're floating around. I cannot get to them. If you have a message that I've never replied to, even if you were like, wait, you didn't say anything, but you double tapped, sometimes that would happen too. I would do a double tap, I'd react, but then I'd go to type, and then it wouldn't let me hit the send button. It would the keyboard would disappear. I'm sorry, the send button would disappear. The part where I could see the words I was typing would disappear.
What?
Just disappear. And I couldn't hit send or anything like that. So if there was she never replied to me, fully, or didn't finish replying, or there's no response at all, please bump the message. I know that this will not be on recording, but at least the 25 of you that are on here will, if you don't have a message from me, then at least you can bump it, and I'll see it again later.
Why don't you put it in stories later so more people can see it? Or you can just go back through. Or take a screenshot if an error like that happens so you can go and message the person. There's solutions. There's so many solutions to this. God. What is she talking about?
She's been asking for people... She's been asking for people to bump their messages since after Jessie Lee passed.
Oh, yeah. Gavin could probably fix that with his code. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, Peggy. And it's interesting because I think Facebook, more people are aware that Facebook is up than Instagram, because I have more people on Facebook than I do Instagram right now. So it's funny.
That's a lie. I was on the live at this point in time, and there were 9 people on live, and she just said there were 25 people on Instagram. I know this wasn't the part where we were just like, here, bring the hammer
Courtney.
of truth. It's a lie. It's a lie. Come on. It makes me so mad to know, like, I was right there. And I saw what was happening. And then to hear her literally say there's more people on Facebook than there are on Instagram right now. Ma'am? Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
So anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'm going to jump
Maybe
off here.
She's combining all of the viewers.
Oh, maybe she is. But then 9 plus...
on the multiple platforms.
Oh. Okay, never mind. You're right. Sorry. That's probably right. Because 9 plus 6 would be... So there's only 6 people on Instagram. And there's 9 people on Facebook. 25 total.
What about...
Oh, yeah, TikTok. Okay. That's a very low reach.
Maybe.
And I love that we're giving her the benefit of the math doubt, because I was raging. we can do that every now and then. For the code fund. Oh, Gavin is
totally.
Like, let's go. Let's go for Gavin. Love that.
Oh, thanks. That's so awesome.
I rewatched that part where people were sending him super chats last night, and it just